Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. Welcome all to Plaid's Tech Talk series. If Plaid is new to you, we are a data network that powers the fintech tools millions of people rely on to live a healthier financial life. We work with thousands of fintech companies like Venmo and SoFi, several of the Fortune 500, and many of the largest banks to make it easy for people to connect their financial accounts to the apps and services they want to use. Our network covers 12,000 financial institutions across the US, Canada, UK, and Europe. My name is Vicky Margolin, and I'm the product marketing lead here at Plaid for our personal finance products. I spend a lot of time thinking about products that transform transaction data into rich user insights. So I'm super excited to be chatting with you all about a topic I get to obsess over every day. I actually came from the banking space. Before Plaid, I spent the majority of my career working at and with banks of all sizes, primarily in the product and corporate strategy roles. I'm joined today by some wonderful guests who also love to nerd out on this topic and have spent a lot of time thinking and implementing best practices here. To join us in our chat today, we have Neeraj Jindal from Infosys and Revant Bari from the Credit Union of Texas. And I'd love for you both to introduce yourselves. Neeraj, could you kick us off?
Sure. Thank you, Vicky. Good morning and good afternoon to you all. And Vicky, it's great to be with you and to be with Revant. My name is Neeraj Jindal. I'm Vice President of Financial Services and Head of FinTech for Infosys. Infosys, as many of you might know, is a global consulting and technology company. We work with banks as well as capital market firms across the world. I have worked with many banks very closely, and as a head of FinTech practice, I work with FinTech companies to co-innovate, build a market, and also to provide efficiency and scale to fintechs. And like Vicky, I was also a banker in past. I was a corporate banker. Thank you for joining us.
And Reva, pass it over to you.
Thanks, Neeraj. Thanks, Vicky. Hi, everyone. I'm Revant Bari. I lead the digital and data team here at Credit Union of Texas. We are a credit union. We are a member-centric organization, and we are a credit union with a rich history and I hope an exciting future. We constantly try to innovate to serve our members better every day. I've been with Credit Union over 5-6 years now. Me personally, I come from a data background. I love working with data, finding useful information that can help our members and their overall experience with us. I'm excited to be here and share my experiences with you all.
Awesome. Super excited to have you both here today and appreciate you joining us to share your unique perspectives. So, you know that feeling when you walk into your neighborhood spot, the one where they know your name, that you like your go-to order with a glass of chilled red wine, and they're always ready for your four-legged companion spotty with a treat? Imagine if every interaction customers had with your financial institution made them feel that special and valued. That's exactly what we're here to talk about today. How you can unlock the future of banking personalization that helps you to win and retain customers using your existing transactional data. We'll break this up into 3 sections. We'll start with the state of consumer demand for personalization and more broadly, the evolution of how we think about personalization. We'll dive into dissecting the challenges of delivering true end-to-end personalization and how your existing transactional data can be the foundation, as well as the challenges and opportunities that come with that. And finally, we'll discuss how to build a roadmap to hyper-personalization and tools you can tap into along the way. Just some quick housekeeping before we dive into it. We'll host a brief Q&A at the end of the session. Please feel free to ask questions at any time during the presentation using the Q&A widget. We'll also be recording today's session, and an on-demand replay will be shared via email. Now that that's out of the way, let's jump into it and start with our North Star, the consumer and their needs. Personalization is at the top of banking customers' wish lists. When done right and with strong privacy controls, it builds engagement, loyalty, and brand differentiation. But delivering on this is getting harder because, let's be frank, expectations around personalization are not being set generally by the banking sector, but by media companies like Spotify and retailers like Amazon or technology companies like Apple. Financial institutions are not just competing with expectations set by their competitors, but other industries their customers are interacting with. This is especially true for younger consumers who are more digitally native. Banking customers expect more because, well, they have more in other avenues of their life. And if they don't get it, Well, they're willing to move their money where their mouth is, so to say. Today, consumers have on average 5 accounts across financial institutions, and they're not just opening new accounts, they're also moving their businesses. Millennials in particular have demonstrated they'll quit banking relationships that they're unhappy with more than half reporting that they changed banks in the last 2 years. Now, that might be the not so good part, but it's important to also note the upside potential. Personalization realized can unlock significant near-term value for businesses. Like take, for example, that about half of Gen Z and millennial respondents who stated that they're likely to switch their primary bank also said they would stick around if offered more relevant insights on offers and rewards. Neeraj, you work with so many clients across the banking sector. Love to hear, what are you hearing? How are your customers thinking about better personalization?
Yeah, great question. And Vicky, building on your point about neighborhood spot, let me start with a story. My first financial account was actually with Indian Post Office. The officer from the post office used to visit us every month. He knew our family, our financial, status at that time. He used to advise us on various matter and kind of guide us on financial matter. That to me was great personalization based on trust. The time has of course changed. We are hyper productive compared to that time. We don't have luxury of one-on-one relationship. But good news is that technology can bring the same level of personalization or maybe even more. So when we sit down with our clients and we work with them, we are broadly seeing, say, 4 buckets of use cases with the clients. One is, of course, on the financial advice. That's very important, especially as responsible finance has become more and more important. So advising clients using their personal situation has become a very important business case for our customers. The second is more on the revenue side, which some of your statistics speak to. How do we bring real-time event-based offers to the client? That's another important business case we are seeing. The third one is around customized experience. How, if somebody logs in who is a different level and different financial status than somebody else and different life cycle stage, how do we change the customer experience? And finally, increasingly, we are seeing more customized third-party offers. That's an increasingly important segment. So those are the 4 buckets we are mostly engaged with clients. And we think there is room to add, but these are the current most of the use cases.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And I love that example of the Indian Post Office, right? It's your personal advisor in a way. They know you so intimately.
Yeah.
And Revant, I'd love to hear, I know customer centricity is so core to Credit Union of Texas, and you've been making so many investments in this space recently. What were you hearing from your customers that's really shaped your view of personalization in banking?
Yes, Vicky. Even before that, like I wanna take the example Neeraj mentioned about Indian Post Office. Like I personally can relate to that. Like my postman back in India, like he knows me on like first name basis. Like I get mails and like he doesn't need my address. Like just looking at my name, he brings it to my house. Like that's called personalization, I guess. Like, that's what we want to do for our members, as close as we could get to them. Coming to like customer centricity, like here at Credit Union of Texas, like we are all about our members. Like we had chats with them, like we get feedback from them. Like the chats and feedback we get from our members, it's priceless. Like many others out there, like our members are seeking an experience like just tailored for them. Like our members want more than just standard banking. Imagine guiding a young professional like saving from home, like to see where their money goes each month and help them save smarter. Like they crave insights and that matches their personal goals. Like so like that's the reason we are diving into our transactional data. Like picture helping a small business owner like spot expense trends, like which can cut costs and boost profits for them. Like there are tools out there which they can use, but I don't think a small business has access to a lot of tools out there, but they do have a bank account, right? And we want banking to be easy for our members. Let's say a busy mom should be able to quickly check her transactions while in the school pickup line waiting for her kid. That's why we are always tweaking our platforms to make it even easier to use and more user friendly and like quickly accessible and more insights driven platform. We have also heard that our members want like more personalized offers. Like if someone loves to travel, like based on their transactional history, we know that they love to travel. Like we could offer them a travel insurance deal or like something like airline points. This kind of personalization comes from analyzing the data we have. Like we already have all that data. We just need to analyze that data, and it lets us provide offers that our members will truly value. Like to wrap it up, like our members' feedback guides our efforts of personalization. We are confident that by using data, we can understand our members better and provide more personal experiences that and build strong and meaningful relationships with them. Like a good friend knows you, we strive to be that friend in our members' lives.
I love what you shared about, right? Like being a friend and that example of like the busy mom. It's really bringing it to this idea of a segment of one, right? Like really personalizing and getting down to that level of granularity. And so I think we all agree, right? Personalization is super important. But today, fewer than 1 in 5 financial institutions feel they're prepared to deliver personalized experiences at scale. And that's why it's so important for us to continue to be engaging on this topic and sharing learnings. And I really think we can't discuss personalization without acknowledging how it has evolved. Early personalization was really focused on maybe more traditional human staff channels like branches and call centers, limited to more general sales-focused offers for really broad customer segments. Then we had the rise of the digitally native challenger banks, and the last few years have been really focused on customizing app, web, and mobile channels, adding some more sophisticated segmentation, and starting to implement more timely tailored messaging, like you left off here on your purchase journey. Do you want to continue? And now we've entered this era of hyper-personalization, which means providing customers with the best message at the right time, which often means real time, and on the right channel, which could be branch, digital, or something in between. It's about being more nimble and holistic to provide services and advice that anticipate customer needs and support their financial goals. As we fully embrace this new age of personalization, this shift in behavior is going to naturally create winners and losers. Companies that adapt will unlock better outcomes both for their business and their customers. BCG studies showed hyper-personalization in banking can lower rates of user churn and boost sales, leading to annual revenue uplifts of 10%. And those who fail to adjust, well, they're at risk of customer loss and decreased market share as customers migrate to more personalized apps and services. Neeraj, what do you think of this evolution? What challenges are you hearing from your customers as they think about improving personalization and meeting this challenge of hyper-personalization?
Yeah, I love the way you framed it, evolution. I think that's a key point. Let me share one more story, and this is much more public. Amazon started to personalize its offering in 1999 with one-click checkout. Customers who wanted it could choose it, who did not, did not. But that's the time they started. And after a decade, they added recommend. So based on purchase history of individuals, they could recommend other products. Then came third-party advertisements, which were again individualized for people preference. And finally, they launched Amazon personalized services, which is all-inclusive service on this. So it's an evolution. So I think that's a good point, what you're making here. I just wanted to emphasize that point. In terms of challenges, so Infosys did a survey of more than 100 bankers in Asia Pacific region. And the top 4 reasons we feel challenged, or the bankers felt challenged around personalization were, number 1 was agreement on the use cases, the buy-in across the company. So do we have the right use case? That was number 1. Number 2 was technology debt. So technology has surely advanced, but still there's a lot of technology debt in the companies and the banks, and the systems still don't talk to each other enough. The third one is data silos. So banks have a tremendous amount of data on customers. Still, it's in silos, and we are not able to bring all of it together. And finally, need for the right partner who can take them on this journey. There are, of course, other like budget constraint priorities of the bank, but these are the four which came out in our survey. And I think that represent where the challenges lie currently.
I think it's a really great way of framing it. And I'm excited to later in this presentation, dig into a little bit more into how organizations can overcome some of those challenges that you mentioned. And I mean, I think you outlined it well, right? Like this can all be really overwhelming. There's so many things that you have to work through. There's tech debt, there's limited resources, budgets, roadmap space. And I think it's really important for us to talk about that you don't have to get it all right? There's this element of focus on one component at a time. And the best place to start, like with many other things in life, is with the fundamentals, right? Taking advantage of what you already have today. Financial institutions today already have access to valuable data about their customers, but often it's not fully utilized for a range of reasons like those you mentioned around legacy infrastructure, siloed teams, upfront investment needed. But transactional data is some of the most important data that provides context and insights into a customer's spending habits, their needs, their interests, and is really the foundation of meaningful, personalized consumer experiences and offers. Part of the reason everyone isn't doing this already today is because raw transactional data is messy, it's incomplete, and it's just really hard to work with. We consistently hear at Plaid from our customers that they're struggling with at least one of these pain points, from varied formats to incomplete merchant names to just the difficulty of cleaning and categorizing the data. And I'd be willing to bet quite a few folks on the line who've been exposed to transactional data have also experienced some, if not all, of these issues. And with that, I'd actually love to turn it to our audience for this. We have a quick poll for you all. We'd love to hear, of these common pain points associated with messy transactional data, which of these is your organization struggle with? Feel free to select any all that apply. Is it that it's unintelligible for everyday consumers? Categorization requires advanced modeling, inconsistent, clear merchant names. Maybe you haven't thought about this yet. This just hasn't been a priority for your institution. We'll give folks another couple seconds to drop in their answers. And then we'll go ahead and close the poll and let you know what the group said. Awesome. So fast, it's all across the board, which I think is really cool and speaks to just how widespread some of these challenges are. The biggest one is categorization requires advanced modeling and tools, which we hear you, categorization is a beast, but if you don't know the purchase intent, it's really hard to do anything with the data. And the next biggest leads were inconsistent, unclear merchant names and hard to build analytics on top of. So I think hopefully this conversation today will be really relevant for talking about those pain points. Plaid actually built one of our newest products, Enrich, to solve just that. Enrich is a secure API-based solution that cleanses, categorizes, and enriches companies' internal transactional data, say from your banking or card products, for example. And it's designed to be easy to implement, with current partners implementing in days and starting to leverage their insights almost immediately. Plaid has been in the transactions data cleansing and categorization space for years. We help consumers to share their transactional data across their banking relationships to power their desired use cases like PFM tools. And working with top fintechs and traditional financial institutions on cleansing external account transactions data, we had customers coming to us saying, we love what you do. Can you also help us do the same thing for our own transactions data? And that was really the genesis of our Enrich solution, was tackling this messy transaction data for your in-house data. We process over 500 million transactions daily, and we've applied that same engine that's been meticulously honed to help our customers transform their internal data as well. I'd love to hear, this is a challenge I know Credit Union of Texas has been thinking about a lot. How did you and your team think about solving this data problem? And did you always intend to go the partnerships route, or did you explore it in-house as well?
Yeah, sure, Vicky. So we all saw the transactions, and like we all see these transactions every day in our core systems, in our databases. Like we have a lot of information there. Like we know we have information about the merchant, we have their address information in some cases, like we have like lots of information out there in our transactions, but it's not always consistent. Like we don't get merchant name in the beginning or like address at the end. Like sometimes we get the store address or like store information, store number. Sometimes we don't. Like sometimes we get actual store address, like where it is in, like let's say Dallas or somewhere else. Like, and sometimes we don't. Like it's not consistent. When we first realized like the massive potential of clean transaction data, we knew like we faced a challenge and we needed much smarter solution. Like initially, we considered developing our own system to organize and cleanse the data. We managed to make some progress. Like we were able to categorize expenses into groceries or like utilities or something else, and started to get some insights, like some useful insights out of that. But as we dug deeper, it became clear that our system wasn't robust enough. It wasn't categorizing everything, like and we have like bunch of categories we could put each thing into. Like it wasn't robust enough for the goals we have. Building a full-fledged data processing system from scratch would demand like significant time, resources, and expertise, not to mention the considerable maintenance it would require from our side and from our developers. That's when we decided to look externally, and that's when we chose Enrich. The integration process with Enrich was like real smooth, and I believe it took us merely a couple of days to get fully operational once we received the whole API access and everything set up. Like choosing to use a ready-made solution like just made sense for us. Like it saved us time, effort, and resources, and let us focus on making our member experience much better. During this, like Plaid was great. Like no matter where we were in the process, testing, setting up, or even after we had finished, they were there to help and to make the product better based on what we said. Like in short, like we needed a quick, easy solution to sort and use our transactional data. This choice really sped up that like our goal of giving our members better and more personal experience. Yeah, that's why we went third-party route, and yeah, we tried it internally, but it didn't make sense for us.
I really appreciate you sharing that. I know we've really enjoyed partnering with the Credit Union of Texas as well on this journey. I think it is hard, right? It's really messy and it's really difficult to do, but it's all about getting it done in terms of days rather than months or even years, which so many infrastructural projects can take oftentimes. And so I think we've established that this data can be really challenging to work with, but the opportunities once you do tap into it, right, what the audience even recognize, as we talked about, like the difficulty of building analytics on top of it, is that once this data is cleansed and enriched, it really transforms into the key to unlocking so many different use cases, both customer facing and internal. At Plaid, we talk about transactional data a lot, about being the foundation of both customer facing enhancements and internal business intelligence insights. So if we dive into the customer facing benefits first, specifically the engaging user experiences you can build, particularly with the current macroeconomic climate, banks are increasingly doubling down on their existing customers and focusing on ways to deepen engagement with them. With enriched data, you can build out features like subscription management tools that support users' financial health, giving them real value and helping them save money. And this is actually a use case we're hearing more and more from fintechs, both larger and early stage, that they really want to solve this pain point for consumers. It's particularly important in challenging financial times where there's more uncertainty for consumers to weather. And keeping an eye on subscriptions and cutting off or consolidating things where not essential can really make a big difference.
You touched a point which I'm really excited about, Vicky. Like this is exactly what we are doing at Credit Union. Like we build something we call subscription insights. We don't call it subscription management because we are trying to be more insight focused, I guess. So that's why we call it as subscription insights. This tool built on our transactional data. It will be helping our members like find regular and repeated expenses. I would like to take a common situation where we think this application can help our members. let's say you're confused, or our members, like let's take a member who's confused at end of the month, wondering why they have got no money left, even with a good salary. Like you're not wasting any money on like fancy stuff or big trips. Like, so where's the cash going? Like, you look at your transactions and nothing seems wild, like perhaps a $50 grocery bill here, or like a $250 purchase for a house there, but those are regular needs we all have, like, and we all need. That's where our tool comes in, that subscription insights tool. Like, it help you spot those regular payments you might have missed, and like maybe unused gym membership or a seldom used music subscription. Like, it's really surprising, like how these small costs can add up over a time without we even noticing. But this is just the start for us. We think managing recurring costs is a big step towards like financial health. By showing our members like this level of details, we give them the power to take control of their money and find potential solutions and potential savings they could from those like subscriptions they could cancel or something like that. Like next, we want to build on top of it. Like next, we plan to give detailed spending insights, not just the subscriptions, more detailed spending insights. Imagine having a personal advisor showing your spending habits in different categories, like groceries or like eating out or fun activities. Like, this would not only show where your money goes, but also suggest where you could save money. Also, we are considering offering a personalized adjustable budgeting tool, one that fits your needs and your lifestyle. We are set on pushing boundaries using data and analytics. Like, we plan to offer custom suggestions and look into new ways to manage money. Our goal is simple, like give our members the tools and the insights they need to handle their finances with much more confidence. Like, our members' financial health is the most top priority thing for us. So yeah.
Really love your emphasis on financial health and insights. I think it really gets back to our earlier point around personalization, not just about selling anymore, right? It's about providing valuable information and advice that embeds into the daily life.
Yeah.
Neeraj, I'd love to hear, what are some other creative ideas that you're hearing banks explore to build more engaging experiences?
Yeah, when Zevant mentioned where's the money going, I said, that's my son. I have a son who goes to college, and I asked him, where is your spending? I says, I don't know. Because when he looks at his statement, he has no idea where the money is spent. I think a person like him will love to know what Revant and his team are doing. So it's fantastic. Great. So when we sit down with our clients and we are whiteboarding with them on the areas where we can provide further value to the clients in this area. One is, of course, on the financial advice, and that's where I think Revan was leading to, financial advice to the client. I think that's the right mindset, and that's very important. Just to pick an example, we were borrowing an idea from energy sector. Many of the energy companies now offer to look at house energy efficiency for the same size house and offer to bring house more energy efficient. So that peer comparison, I think, is a great, powerful tool. And some of our clients are brainstorming, does it make sense to advise client and at least give abstracted information in terms of where the spending trend is so that people can course correct if they have to. So I think enhancing the personal advice itself has a lot of room to grow. Second is third-party offer. I don't think that part of the equation is still solved. The third-party offer I get from an e-commerce website versus what I get from my bank, it's day and night. They're different. In fact, from what I get from my bank is not targeted. I think it's suboptimal for banks because they are taking the real estate from their statement and they're taking my time. In fact, it's a net negative in my mind right now. So third-party offers, I think, has a lot of room to grow. Another area you talked about dispute. A counter side of that is fraud. we are discussing how we can minimize fraud by bringing in more personalized use of the data. And finally, there are certain avenues where we can develop net new product based on customer need. Raymond initially talked about offering, I think, travel insurance based on the travel habits. And I think those kind of insights are very, very powerful. We are still not capitalizing enough, but our clients are discussing all of these areas.
As someone who still gets offers from my financial institutions that make no sense to me, I'm with you that we're not there yet on offers.
Yeah.
I'd love to also turn it here to the audience and add another poll here and hear from your organization. What are you doing or planning to do to build more engaging experiences? Are you thinking about subscription management or maybe personal financial management style spending insights and advice? Heard maybe something around automated savings feature, AI-powered financial management tools, or perhaps it's not a priority or something we haven't mentioned yet. We'll give folks a few more seconds just to drop in their responses, and then we'll let you know what this group has to say. Awesome. So just gone ahead and closed the poll, and the biggest ones that are popping is actually spending insights and advice. So PFM style features and automated savings features are the top two that are on folks' minds. Subscription management came in fourth, and AI-powered financial management tools actually came in third, which makes sense given all the discussion that's happening right now around AI. Thank you all for sharing. And so that's what I maybe call some of the easier things for us to get to, some things that feel a little bit more tangible in the near term. I'd love to paint a picture for us all around what we ultimately want to actually do with hyper-personalization. That hyper-personalization experience where we seamlessly embed into users' daily lives for moments big and small. And as I was thinking about this, the best way I could think to do this was by looking at it through the eyes of a potential customer. Let's take the example of Dana. Dana is applying for a new mortgage at a bank where she already has a relationship, specifically a checking account and a credit card. She starts her application, but doesn't finish it. Based on her transaction data, the bank knows that Dana also has relationships with two other banks which offer mortgage loan products. Dana gets a call from a lending advisor at the bank to talk about her application and is offered a competitive rate. She then returns to complete the application, which pre-fills with existing data the bank already has for Dana. And then she gets a quick approval at the rate she had discussed with the advisor. Dana is thrilled and relieved that such a stressful process was made easier by her existing relationship and that her loyalty to the bank was rewarded with a competitive rate. In this example, it's cross-channel, it's cross-product, and it's near real-time or at the very least just in time. Dana's bank isn't just selling her products, but helping her along her journey to be a homeowner. It's really embodying that segment of one concept we talked about earlier. And for me, I think that's really where our ultimate goal is to get to. Neeraj, that's my dream. What is your dream of the potential of hyper-personalization for customer journeys?
Yeah, quite aligned with what you said. N of one. I think that's like, that should be the goal. That's the dream. And you mentioned a few slides back, 10% revenue uplift for the bank. Amazon says they get 35% revenue uplift based on recommend. I think 10% is an underestimated number. The number will be significantly higher if we can start the journey on personalization. So my dream, and I think the poll also reflected customer insight, providing value back to the customer. I think that's where we should start. We should be able to identify individual needs and customize our offerings based on that. And banks are working on it. It's absolutely there on the journey. And like I mentioned at the start, there are 4 categories of use cases we are seeing. So not only bringing value to the customers, but also bringing the revenue uplift for banks and their third-party associates. I think that's where I think it will go. And of course, it's art of possible. Once we start this evolution, it will just keep building on it. So my dream is, let's start somewhere. I think Revant and his team has done a fantastic job, and I think it will just build on that.
Well, that starts somewhere, right? What we talked about earlier was just like start with the fundamentals and build from there.
Yeah.
And so that's the user-facing advantages, the magical we know you moments that you can drive with clean transactional data as a key input. I'd love to pivot the conversation a little bit just to talk about like what else you can use transactional data for and how it can help behind the scenes to bolster internal analytics, reduce disputes, and drive better decisioning. So one major use case here is feeding it into your business intelligence tools to drive internal analytics. With clean transactional data, you can understand spending trends, like which merchants your users are shopping at the most. Think maybe a partnerships application, improve those offers that we talked about. You can also understand competitive outflows and where your users have other financial relationships. And you can use this data to adjust to market changes and offer more competitive offers, as well as to inform your cross-sell targeting with better leads that are more likely to convert. Disputes reduction is another application we hear a lot about. With improved user transaction recognition, that also means reduced time and money spent handling disputes for your organization. A MasterCard study found that almost 100% of consumers, 96 to be exact, want more details that help them easily recognize purchases. They also found that they don't just want it, they'd actually behave differently. About a quarter of all transaction disputes could be avoided by delivering merchant details like logos. And with the average cost of a dispute clocking in at about $20, that's serious savings for banks. And finally, cleansing and enrichment engines that are real-time, like Plaid's Enrich solution, enable you to use this detail within the authorization flow, setting rules, monitoring spend based on defined categories, like say for a corporate card. And better categorization also means more accurate rewards payouts. Implications not just for reducing the cost of incorrect payouts, but also all the customer frustration and dissatisfaction that comes attached to that. Revant, as we've worked together, you've shared how Credit Union of Texas has a multi-stage plan for using enriched transactional data. Could you share a little more with the group?
Yeah, sure, Vicky. Like our way of using enriched transactional data is like, I'd say a fascinating three-part story. Like we start as a detective and then become personal helpers and as a trustworthy partner. Like in part one, like we are like these detectives looking through a lot of transactional data. Our goal here is to get a cleaner view of how our members manage their money. Think of it like this, like we spot a member who often pays at electric car charging station, or maybe another member who's always at the local market on Sunday mornings. Like these normal transactions are clues that help us understand our members' lives, like their hobbies and their needs. In the next part, like the part two, like we changed our roles to become personal helpers, like using these insights we got from their transactions. We shape our services, like we adjust our services to accommodate our members' preferences. For example, we notice a member buying gardening tools every spring. Like with this information, we could suggest a special loan for outdoor home projects, like helping them build their dream garden. Like, or if a member often shops at home improvement store, like we could send them like handy tips on like handling home renovation budgets, or like perhaps offer them a suitable loan, like maybe a HELOC or something like that. Like that's personalization that really makes a difference and improves our members' experience. And it is real personal because you're shopping, like you're interested in home improvement products, and like we know that, and we are providing you guidance on that. And the next part is part three. We become a trustworthy partner. By studying transactional habits, we give useful and like most timely advices. I think that's crucial. Like you want to reach your member when they are in trouble, or when they want something, not when you want it, or like just blow out ads or anything like that. Like you want to reach out to them, reach out to your member when they are in trouble, or like when they need something. Like suppose a member is managing payments across several credit cards, like we could tell them about benefits of consolidating data, like making their financial load like a little lighter. Like there could be any situation, like when you reach out to your member when they're in trouble, they will be loyal with your bank. Like they are not leaving you. Like, and you can ask like why this order? Like it's just because it's a story that unfolds like naturally, we think, like from understanding our members to like creating personalized experiences and like finally building a strong and trustworthy like relationship with our members. It's like building a house. I would say like start with a solid foundation, carefully add a roof and walls around it, and then fill it with love and warmth to make it an actual home.
I love that. That's a home that I move into. And thank you for sharing some of those like really tactile examples. I think that really helps to frame up how you can actually use these insights, right, with targeting different products and services, and also giving tailored insights along the journey as well. And so we've talked a lot today about some of the challenges. We've painted a vision of the opportunities. And now before we dive into sort of how you can build the road to getting to this end state of hyper-personalization, I'd love to have one last poll for our audience. And here, where is your organization on the road to hyper-personalization? Are you just getting started? Maybe you're packing for the trip, developing a plan and setting your goals. Are you in the car? You have your plan, you have your strategic goals, but you haven't yet started building. You're maybe on the road, you have a plan and you're building towards it. Or you're close to the destination. You've executed maybe all or parts of your plan and are now testing, iterating, and evolving. I'll give folks a few more seconds just to drop in their responses, and then we'll share where this group is today. Great. Thank you all so much for your responses. The vast majority of our audience today is in the packing stage of the journey, really thinking about developing a plan and setting goals, with a handful sort of starting to really get towards building, but not yet building, and just a few that are already building. So I think this is a really great time for us to be having this conversation right now. And so I think we talked a lot about today on that developing a strategy for hyper-personalization, it can be really challenging and feel overwhelming. And so to simplify the process, it's really important to approach it in phase stages, gradually delivering improvements. And while there's no one size fits all, there are definitely some common steps. The first is setting your vision. What do you want your customer experience to look like once you've implemented your strategy? What sentiment will customers have about your bank? This is really where you evaluate current capabilities, identify gaps, and think of areas of potential differentiation. The second is championing across the organization. I think both of our speakers today talked a lot about how it's really a team effort for hyper-personalization to work. From your top level executives and team leaders who are building the budgets and roadmaps, to your marketing and data teams collaborating on campaigns, to the advisors and customer service reps who need that real-time data to build better relationships with customers on the ground. Everybody needs to be bought in. Third is investing in the right foundation. You know what you want to accomplish, everyone's excited about it, but how are you utilizing the full potential of your existing available data? Now, this is where you might want to consider partnering with a third party that can really speed up your roadmap and bring in the right expertise to help you execute in days rather than months or years. Solutions maybe like Plaid and Rich that transform transactional data into clean, rich data ready for robust analytics. And finally, it's test and learn time, right? It's an iterative process. You can play around with different offers and messaging to find what best resonates and drives value for different types of customers. And it's really important to collect customer feedback along the way. That's sort of my tips and tricks for folks getting started here. Neeraj, what guidance would you offer for folks at different stages of their journey?
I love this graph, and I love when you say test, learn, pivot. I think that's kind of summarizes. If my clients were still packing, I will tell them, forget about the favorite hat. Even if you did not pack it, we can find another favorite hat on the way, right? So my advice will be start and iterate based on that. I have been engaged with so many large data initiatives. They're complex. they invariably get into challenges, and they're difficult to reach the end goal in given time. What has worked better is to start somewhere, iterate, build on that, and learn further from that. So my advice would be find a use case where sufficient executive buy-in is. And I think the poll showed customer insight. That's a great way to start. Or whatever works for your bank, start with a use case, implement based on the data which you have access to, and start from there. Typically, a bank will have billions of data points on a customer. They will know transactions, they will know purchase history, they will know IP addresses, they will know a lot about a customer, which they can use to personalize offers based on geolocation, based on buying history, whatever. Just put it to use. Don't look for a perfect answer. This is a place where you won't reach from A to Z immediately. And let's not go for perfection. Here, the perfection will be enemy of good. So just start the journey and learn from that. And again, going back to Amazon example, they are where they are now after 24 years. So if they had started to find a perfect answer, they would be thinking about it. So build on it, learn, pivot. That's perfect.
Test, learn, pivots, name of the game. Raymond, I'd love to hear from your perspective. Credit Union of Texas is well on its way on this journey. What advice would you have for other financial institutions that are struggling with transactions data and thinking about how to tackle it?
Yeah, sure, Vicky. Like you both covered a lot. Like I completely agree with what Neeraj said and what you, Vicky, said. Like, here's how I would guide anyone who's working with transactional data and like aiming for better customer experience. Like, first, it's important to set a clear vision. Like, imagine what your customer experience would look like once your plan is completely implemented. What type of interaction would you have with your customers? Like, how would they feel about you? Like, evaluating your current capabilities and like spotting the gaps, like that's crucial. Like, maybe you are already great at communicating through like certain channels, or your unique offerings are like already attracting customers. Like, understanding the strengths and recognizing your skills is crucial. Like, it's important. Like, next, as you have mentioned, Vicky, like, remember that it is a team effort. Like, it's not a single person who's doing this. Like, it's a team effort, from top executives like setting budgets and like roadmaps, the whole thing, to your customer service reps, like building better relationships with the members in person. Like, everyone has a part to play in this. Like, identify specific use cases and their value, and how you will measure the impact. That's about figuring out the best strategies for your goals. Like, investing in the right foundations is crucial, I think. Making the most of all the data you have. Like, think about partnerships with third parties, and that can simplify your process and provide more expertise which you don't have internally in your teams. Like, breaking down barriers across organizations is vital, I think. Your technology should support for your vision. Like, remember, it's all about experimenting. Like, it's a process of learning and adjusting. Always ask for feedback, like, wherever you can. Use, like, explore technologies like AI and ML. That's hot these days, I guess. They might seem like challenging in the beginning, but they can greatly improve your results. Like, finally, understand that personalization is a journey you're taking. Where you are in your journey should dictate where you invest your time and resources. Like, you need to adjust your plan based on your progress. It's a challenging journey, but much rewarding journey, I'd say.
I really appreciate you both sharing your guidance and thoughts, especially being well on your way on this journey or having worked with a lot of clients who are on their way on this journey. So before we open it up to Q&A, just wanted to give a quick recap of some of the key points from today. First is hyper-personalization may be the way of the future, but customers expect it now. That shift in behavior is going to naturally create winners and losers. Things that can deliver tailored insights at the right time and out in the right channels We'll make customers feel special and are positioned to win new customers and drive retention and loyalty, especially with younger customers. And those that don't are at risk of slowly losing market share as customers migrate to those who did and created more personalized experiences. The second is if your foundation is bad, it's going to be hard to make anything else work on top of it. The road to hyper-personalization, like many things, starts with the right foundation. And that means maximizing the value of your existing transactional data that customers have already shared with you. And the third is that while raw transactional data is messy, the use cases for cleansed, categorized, and enhanced data are abundant. And partnering with a third party like Plaid can help reduce implementation costs and get to impact in weeks rather than years. And so with that, we'd love to open it up for Q&A. Please go ahead and submit any questions you may have for our panelists using the Q&A widget. And while folks go ahead and submit any questions, I'll go ahead and drop one that came in earlier. I'd love to hear from the group. You discussed the importance of getting cross-functional stakeholders on board early on. Any advice or best practices for how to do that effectively across levels? Neeraj, maybe do you want to take that first?
Sorry, can you come back one more time, Becky?
Yeah, we talked a lot about the importance of getting cross-functional stakeholders on board early on. Any advice or best practices for what you've seen works well to make sure that you have that cross-functional buy-in across levels?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we look at alignment of stakeholders, I think there are multiple facets of that. But I think the most important of that is communication. If we can agree on the value which is being delivered to the business and to the customers and have alignment on that, I think that leads to a lot of buy-in and then starting and iterating on that. I think that's the important factor. What Credit Union of Texas has done is a great example. They're starting with transaction data, building on it, and there is entire roadmap to build insights. So the alignment will come with identification of use case, with communication, and with making sure that the business case is justified both in terms of internal as well as external facing stakeholders.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot as well as we talk to different audiences and you have different buyers and champions within the organization, and really being able to show that use case and the demonstrated value is really the key in speaking a common language with folks. Raymond, we actually had a question come in for you that I'd love to get your thoughts on, which is, as someone who's implemented Enrich and is really looking to make your transactional data more actionable, how are you thinking about measuring the ROI for your business and for CUTX overall?
Yes, ROI, it's crucial, with every investment we make, right? Here with Enrich, we think it will bring a lot of benefit for us as a credit union, and not just us, for our members. The goal we have, it's not just showing the subscriptions they have, right? We want to expand it to be more personalized insights kind of thing. At the end, we want more satisfied members. We want more loyal members. We want our members to be with us. We don't want our members to leave us or go go to a different bank or something. So that way, we think it's gonna bring us a lot of good members staying with us, and loyalty. It's gonna improve the loyalty for us. So yeah.
Yeah, I think loyalty is huge. I know one thing that we hear a lot from some of our customers who are thinking about both Enrich and just in general, a lot of these sort of maybe more engaging personal financial management tools as well as lifetime revenue. You have users who are more engaged, they're spending more time on your platforms, they're getting to see more offers and engaging with your app more. And so they tend to be, exactly as you mentioned, more loyal, more engaged. They see more of your offers and they convert better because you're able to give them more insights because they're giving you more information based on their behavior. And this really beautiful relationship that builds on itself.
Yeah, once we have those loyal members, like they stay with us, like that's when we get loans from them. That's when we get like more savings or like more checking amount from them. Like they stick with you when you care about them.
And we had one more question come in around what does transactional data cleansing and enrichment actually entail? And so I think that's maybe one that I'll quickly take, which is it has a couple components to it. When we think about that raw, messy transaction string that we saw, it is just unreadable. And so what we do to really make it more actionable is a couple of things. First, we cleanse it to get a clean and consistent merchant name. So imagine Walmart coming through in different variations and spellings with the hyphen in different places, making sure that's consistent. The second is categorizing, identifying the right category. So for Walmart, for example, it could be general merchandise superstore. So you get a better understanding of the intent behind a transaction. Third is labeling and identifying additional data fields like store numbers or maybe counterparty details. So you can see all the different parties that are involved in the transaction. Let's say I bought my McDonald's at DoorDash, being able to get that level of granularity. And then finally, it's enrichments, making the data more robust and actionable by appending additional information to what's available in the raw transaction string. So that's things like the merchant logo and website, location details like address and geographic coordinates, payment channel, and maybe a recurrence indicator. So that's just some of the sort of cleansing, categorization, enrichment that you can build on top of transactional data to make it more useful. Great, and I know we're close to time. And so I'd love to open it up to our speakers to share any final thoughts they may have. Revanth, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure, Vicky. Like to wrap things up, like adopting hyper-personalization or like personalization is no longer just a nice to have, but a must-have in current banking environment. Like we are not just competing with banks anymore. Like we are competing with these big tech companies like Amazon or like Apple. They are getting into banking. That's a different story. But utilizing the strength of well-organized transactional data can boost member satisfaction, retention, and loyalty. By teaming up with like right solution providers, we can fast track progress towards personalization and fully tap into member insights. I would say like always remember the goal is to provide personalized experiences, build trust, and maybe like try to exceed member expectations. Like, yeah, that's what I would say.
And then Neeraj, would love to hear your closing thoughts. And I'm going to ask for a challenge because we had one more question come in. I'd love to see if you could work it into your close, which is, as you work with some of your clients, how do you also think about this element of consumer consent within the discussion of hyper-personalization use cases?
Yeah, look, I mean, all our clients are very mindful of data privacy and consumer owning their own data. So we make sure that all of this is compliant and consumer consent is taken. So that is not at all compromised. None of these initiatives actually conflict with it. In fact, consumers expect that if the banks have that data, they will come back to them with a customized, personalized offer. So to that extent, we of course work with various department compliance to make sure that we are within the boundaries of their guideline. So that we surely take care of. And quickly on closing side, as per our research, there are 4 key components which make bank competitive. Customer experience is one of those critical. And of course, others are innovation, efficiency, and transformation. But customer experience is an important component of bank's competitiveness. So personalization is a key component of that.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And thank you so much to our wonderful guest speakers, Neeraj and Revanth, to our fantastic audience who took the time to join us today. We really appreciate you all spending an hour with us for this great conversation. As a reminder, we'll be sharing a recording after this session, and we hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah.